Welcome back to The Inspired Entrepreneur with Heather Hope. Hey guys, it's Heather Hope. Welcome back. Okay, so let's just jump into it. Have you guys, in between recording these episodes, I've been eating M&M brownie M&Ms. They are so good. They have come out with so many different varieties, but I really like these. I love brownies, and these are just really good. They're just little bites of brownies. And anyway, it's just giving me a little bit of energy in between these episodes. So welcome back. My name is Heather Hope. I'm a Law of Attraction business coach, and I am bringing you October 6th. So if you're new here, this is The Inspired Entrepreneur. It is a book that I have written. I'm still editing it. Hopefully I've sent it by now because I'm recording this. I'm still in Mexico right now. I'm recording these days like a week in advance. And hopefully I got it to my editor. I'm hoping that I sent it before I left for Mexico. So anyway, this is 366 days of inspiration for the entrepreneur, for the self-employed, for that person who loves the law of attraction and owns a business or is self-employed, meaning like you're an actor or celebrity or restaurant owner, or like I have an academy, a group coaching membership that it spans the gamut of self-employed people. And so online coaches, real estate agents, whatever it is, if you're self-employed in some manner and you love the law of attraction, specifically Abraham Hicks, join us, because I go live twice a month where you can ask all your questions revolving around your business and law of attraction and what you should do and what not to do and mindset stuff. And I release like 2 trainings a month right now. You get all the trainings from the past and my course, Manifest Your Millionaire Life. And it's just amazing. It's a great value. Check out the link somewhere in this. There's a link, and join us. You can join anytime right now. Before I close the doors, I'm not sure if I'll close them. They were closed for months during the summer. I was doing some other things, so I reopened them. Okay, so let's jump into this. October 6th. This is a really great one. Tell the story of how you want it to be, not the story of how it's always been. How it has. Is this even written correctly? Tell the story of how you want it to be, not the story of how it always has been. I don't even know if that's proper English, but okay. Tell the story of how you want it to be. So a lot of times, this is what happens. And you hear it in Abraham's clips of people in the hot seat telling the backstory, telling how it's been and how, and it's like, and at this point, I try to cut my own clients off before they tell me the story. Because, well, first of all, in coaching, you have to be really careful your vibration with your clients. That's why I don't do a whole lot of private coaching anymore. I do I do some private coaching for celebrities at a higher rate. And, but most of all my work that I do is in my academy. That's primarily where all of my focus is, beyond the few private clients that I have. But because I used to be a therapist for many years, went into online coaching for years, and I noticed that I am a much happier person creating than I am like one-on-one coaching anymore. Like I love communicating with people, but I realized that I really don't want to listen to people's stories anymore because the vibration of the stories are kind of, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm not going to get into it, but so when people are trying to tell me the story of how it's always been, it's like, do you want to continue creating that story? Because the more, every time you talk about it, you keep creating more of that. So let's drop that story of how it's always been, unless it's good, right? And tell me the story of how you want it to be. So how I do my coaching calls at this point with people like, on a case by case basis or in the group calls, it's like, okay, now tell me, like, it's basically, get into the vortex, and then tell me the story of how you want it to be. Because that's going to be a million times more effective than being outside the vortex, which is where that other story is, and continuing to tell me the story, and my vibration gets all mixed up with yours. So what is beneficial for both of us? Them getting in, you getting in the vortex, and then telling me the story of how you want it to be. And then we can move in that direction. How much more effective would coaching be if everybody did that? Because there's no use in going back. We try not to as much as possible. I do still in my own life on occasion, because I do still have a bit of that therapist mind of trying to figure out things. I don't do it as much as I did because I knew it was holding me back. Like a large part of last year, I knew me trying to figure it out was holding me back, but it was like I couldn't let it go because I just have that mind. Like therapists have a detective type of mind of trying to figure out things. And so that's kind of me. But so I can stop doing things, right? So I can understand at a deeper level, so I can help my own clients. That's why I did it. So tell the story of how you want it to be, not the story of how it's always been. So you got it. It's a habit. It's just only a habit. So much of this is just habit of thought and habit of talking about things that you don't want, like venting about things, or like, oh, this always happens. And then you go into the story and you tell people. Why do we do this? I don't know. We want people to relate to us. We want validation, all the things that we don't need, but that's what we feel like we want because it, whatever. So it goes to that awareness again. Awareness of what is the story that you're telling? What is that story? And then stopping. Like stop in the middle of that story and say, you know what? That's the past. I don't want that anymore. So what I do want is I want it to be like this now. Like I'm done with that, so, I've talked about, like last week I was talking about when I was single and I was dating married men. Like I wasn't doing that on purpose. I was attracting married men that were lying about being married or being divorced or whatever. They were lying. They were actually married, but they lied to me. So I was attracting that a lot. So my story was, for a while, was I keep attracting married men. So I see this a lot on Facebook, and I unfollow anybody who does it. But like half my friends list are unfollowed at least, because so many things that they say, I'm just like, oh my God. I used to be that way too, so I get it. It's just I don't want to see it. And so that's fine. So, but I'll see people talking about the story of the things that they don't want anymore, and they keep talking about the story. My ex-husband used to say, this was his favorite phrase, and I heard it thousands of times probably. Oh, that's the story of my life. That's the story of my life. Of course that would happen. That's the story of my life. It was always in the negative. It was never once was it ever positive. So it's so powerful. He has very powerful stories that keep him in the story. It's the story of his life. Something bad happens, it's the story of my life. So that's annoying. So when something good happens, when you have like good luck, if you want to call it luck, or just good things happening, start saying that. That's the story of my life. Good things happen to me. That's amazing. That's awesome. But that's just the story of my life now, is good things. Amazing, right? So tell the story of how you want it to be. If every coach implemented this as their coaching model, coaches would have a lot better success rate. They would have a lot more transformations. They themselves would feel a lot better. Tell me the story of what you want. Don't tell me the story of how it's been. You might have to think about that for a second in your mind, but don't tell me. But then say, but the way I want it to be is this. And then we focus on that. and how that would feel. So that might be a thing to ask in the morning. How do I want today to be? How do I want today's story? October 6th, the story of October 6th. If today was the best day of your life, what would that story be? Say, oh my gosh, October 6th, 2020 was the best day ever. What would that day be like? Pretty powerful questions. But this is the work. We talk about the work. This is the work. This is the work. Being aware of your thoughts and changing the story, changing the things that you talk about, changing the things you look at, changing your point of attraction. That's the work. So tell me the story of how you want something to be. Don't tell me how it's been. Leave that portion out. I don't need to know it. No offense, but I don't need to know it. But it's like, it's like watching the news. When somebody tells you, it's like the same thing. This is why coaching should be something different, because like as a therapist, I spent hours upon hours a day listening to people's problems. How different is that than watching the news? I mean, the news can be more drastic, but it depends on your clients. Like if you have clients that have like sexual abuse or, like some really deep stuff, how different is it? Like everybody says watching the news is bad. It's toxic. It's just so negative, right? And the news is only 20, 30 minutes long, right? Think of like if you're a therapist or a coach. A lot of coaches dig into stuff they shouldn't be digging into, in my opinion. Don't be one of those coaches. You can get in trouble with the board of counseling. If you didn't know that already, you can. If you dig into problems just like a therapist, but you're only a coach, don't do it. Do not do it. I used to be involved in the counseling board in Arizona. I used to go to a lot of meetings. I used to teach ethics to other therapists for years, and I learned a lot of things that nobody should be doing. Okay, so if you're digging into the past as a coach, good Lord, stop. You got to stop for your own sanity, and because you're probably counseling without a license. But anyway, something that nobody talks about, but I do occasionally because I don't anymore because it's just negative. But most coaches don't know this. But and so much of coaching is actually counseling, but most coaches don't know that because they've never been a therapist, so they don't really know what counseling is, but they've learned what coaching is, and it's not necessarily the same. So that's a whole nother, I'm not even going to talk about it, but so where was I? So how different is it sitting listening to clients talk about their negative past for hours in a day? How different is that than watching the news for 20 minutes? And the news is a bad thing to watch, right? It's worse. Listening to your clients' problems for hours is worse than watching the news. That's 20 minutes long. Think about that one. Anyway, if this doesn't apply to you, it probably does in some way, because if you have like a negative friend that likes to call you up and vent, I would stop doing that. I would start being aware of what's coming into my field of attention, into what I'm focusing on. Whatever it is, people, news, clients, whatever it is, I'd be more aware, because that all affects your vibration. Everything affects it. Okay, guys. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I will talk to you again tomorrow. Have an amazing rest of your day. Bye-bye.